Lidia Rodriguez, and this is Small Biz Spotlight 210. Thank you so much again for coming and supporting my new YouTube channel here. This is my 4th episode, so thank you so much for coming back. If you are new to me, what I'm trying to do here is exactly what it says. The Small Biz Spotlight is to put a spotlight on small businesses here in San Antonio, maybe in the future, and I'm really hoping that we can go to the surrounding areas. So please stay till the end of the video. I do have some important information for all of y'all, and I'm gonna start off a little different today. I'm gonna ask you a question. Okay, do you believe in ghosts? Maybe you're a history buff, or both. Please leave a comment down below and let me know which one you are. I'm really interested to hear what everybody has to say about that. And the reason why I'm asking is because you're going to want to meet these next guests. I am on location at the Victoria Black Swan Inn. I'm kind of nervous. If you can tell, my voice is shaky. Super haunted here in San Antonio, and Stephen and Fred are the ones leading tours and investigations with Curious Twins Paranormal here in San Antonio. So let's get right to it. Awesome. I can't believe I am here. I've always heard so much about this place and I've never been. It's like a time capsule. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And okay, so full introduction, guys. Stephen, go start. Name, family, all of that.
Yeah, so my name is Stephen Garcia-Guzman. I am one half of Curious Twins Paranormal. I got into the paranormal because of my family. I have 3 older brothers, and my older brothers would just scare me all the time. And so I had to get to a point where I could kind of conquer my fears. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to explore every horror movie out there. And so I got really into horror films and documentaries and anything spooky. I wanted to explore it. Mm-hmm. And it became a challenge for me to see, like, what was the scariest thing I could ever see. Wow. And so when I met Fred, our interests kind of aligned in that way. And we, started dating and started doing tours together. And whenever we would travel, we would do a ghost tour, we would go to a cemetery. And then eventually we decided, let's do our own company. Let's start our own, and we wanted to do that. So that's how we got to Curious Twins Paranormal.
And you, Fred?
Yeah, so kind of how I got started with this as a kid. I had a really, bizarre instances where I felt that I had experiences with spirits. The first one was my great-grandmother. I was probably about 4 years old.
Wow.
And it continued. There's a lot of stuff that I didn't get. There was a lot of stuff that I just didn't understand, that was weird, and I wanted to understand it more. And so over the years, I researched, I went to places, I just, allowed myself to kind of get into it. And, when I got into college, I kind of strayed away from it, and then, it slowly came back. I started kind of, looking at, this is such an interesting thing, and dark tourism, the idea of going to places that are associated with dark things, death, destruction, maybe hauntings, these kinds of things. And I thought that this was an untapped place in the United States for the most part. And so I thought this would be a great way to educate people, to let people know true histories, and to even, bring awareness to, true crime and people that are missing today. And so, we do all kinds of different things, everything from, hikes that are, planned led hikes that we lead people through, Texas natural areas. We do everything from seances to, investigations, and to, just tours. We get pretty nerdy with all of our
There's a lot to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's the paranormal is very mysterious. Sure. Very mysterious. So I can understand the curiosity of it. So usually some investigators, like you've already mentioned, some things that have happened to y'all, and that usually sparks the curiosity about it, the wanting to find out more. Can you tell me, Stephen, a specific thing that happened to you that, I mean, you told me about your siblings, but did you have any experiences?
Yeah, you know, I have, there was always lore about my grandma's house. There was always stories about my grandma's house being haunted, and I had a cousin who lived with my grandma, and he would tell me that in the middle of the night he would see these red eyes watching him from outside the window. And that was something that really fascinated me and really kind of scared me, and I never really wanted to spend the night there. And whenever I did, I never wanted to look out the window because I was afraid that I would see these red eyes staring right back at me. And so the stories that my family had around ghosts and the paranormal and just mysterious things really interested me and got me to be more curious about what is actually out there and what are things that we can experience with the paranormal.
Yeah, and usually with being a Hispanic, being a Mexican, I find that a lot of families, Mexican families, have something in their family, in their lineage,
Absolutely.
Regarding spirituality, paranormal stuff. I won't get into mine, but let's talk about Fred. You said that happened to you when you were 4?
Yeah. So it kind of started a little before 4. About 3 and a half, I began to have weird dreams. I was pretty young, but I remember it very vividly. And these dreams was I would wake up in the dream. I would be in a sleep, and I lived with my grandparents at the time, and I'd go looking for them to see where they were, and I couldn't find them, and it would kind of freak me out. And I would go looking all over. I remember at one point I opened their closet door, tried to see if they were in there, and when I did that, I saw akin to another dimension, kind of, and I saw people that that were dead, in a lot of ways. I couldn't really explain that as a kid, but I had this understanding, and I saw my great grandmother there, and I knew that at that time she was going to die, and I knew also that when it was going to be. Like, I was very clear on, I had a date, and and so I went with that date, and I told my family about it, and they were all like, it's just like kid, he's like 3 and a half, and so they kind of just laughed it off, thought it was weird, but on December 28th, that year, my great grandmother died, and I had predicted exactly that.
Wow.
And that's what I had seen in that dream. And so shortly after, my cousins, they moved in to my grandmother's house, my great grandmother's house, and when they were there, I had spent the night one night, and I all of a sudden I needed to go to the restroom, and it was in the middle of the night, and I'm a kid, I'm like 4 at this point, and I don't really want to go by myself in the dark. And my grandmother had like a hallway that was like really long. Like you had to like go through the whole house practically to get to the bathroom. And I hated going there, and so I tried to wake up my cousins. They didn't wake up, and I went ahead and walked there. And on the way there, I very clearly see my grandmother, and in the hallway, and she's like waving. She waves at me, and she's like, "You need to go to bed." And so I I hurried back, and I go to bed, and I jumped up, and I realized, oh crap, she's been gone for months now. And she doesn't live here. And I think that was my first really experience with things, and then they continued.
Wow, at 4 years old, that's a very young age to just try and figure out what all that was.
Sure. Yeah.
Wow. That is amazing. And are y'all from here, from San Antonio? Y'all grew up here in San Antonio? Born and raised?
I was born and raised here, and Fred was born in Corpus Christi.
Yeah, I was born in Corpus. Yeah, my dad lived here. I was kind of my mom and my dad were never divorced, and so I kind of came back and forth from San Antonio to Corpus growing up. So I had a lot of all of the local stuff, like all that kind of stuff, deeply rooted in me. But I also have a lot of that Corpus Christi in me as well.
Love Corpus. So how did y'all come up with the name Curious Twins?
Yeah. So it has nothing to do with us.
Oh, yeah.
People
that's
think
what I
it has
thought.
something to do with us.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't. What it has to do with is that when we first kind of got to know one another, we realized his mom was a twin, and so was mine. And so we thought that's a really cool coincidence. And so we thought we would name it kind of in honor of our moms. And so it's an ode to our moms, Curious Twins. It's really just has nothing to do with us. It's just kind of a thank you to our moms for
Oh, that's
Yeah.
so sweet.
Yeah.
Wow, and I really thought it was because of you too. Okay, well, we learned something. Okay, so Curious Twins, finally answered. But okay, so the curiosity about the unknown, and I know it fueled you to learn more. Tell us, what kind of research did you have to do before turning that interest into a business?
Well, we kind of had a magical trip to Seattle, probably about 10 years ago almost now. And we had this in mind. We had this in mind that we wanted to do this. And, we had been, every time we travel, we'd do a tour. And we always realized, we skipped this, like, especially with Native American stuff. And we both have that background, too. And so we, always got a little annoyed with those things. And so, we went to Seattle and we did this tour. And, these folks in Seattle, they were gracious enough to meet with us and talk to us about their business. And it just really kind of lit a fire, and all kinds of things happened on that trip that were just weird and magical. We saw like a well for the first time on that trip. We experienced a haunt in an old brothel in Alaska, on that trip. Like, we just experienced so many different things that we kind of were really motivated when we got back home to start making plans to shift our lives to doing something different. And at that time, I had a restaurant. I was operating a restaurant and owning a restaurant, and I was tired of it, working those long hours.
Yeah, restaurant business is not easy.
I wanted to do something different. Not that I didn't love what I was doing, but wanted to do something different. Yeah.
And this is definitely outside of your regular business plans that you. The paranormal is something totally different, but you found a lot of people that are receptive here in San Antonio.
Yeah, we we have an interesting business model because a lot of what we do is we are tourism kind of related, but we really appeal to locals here, and a lot of what we do is bring in local business and share with locals. About 70% of our business is local, and people moving into San Antonio for the first time. So it's, we're a little different from, I think, a lot of those ghost tour companies, because they're really targeting just the out-of-towners. And we find that, the locals want to learn from a local.
And that was me too, because that's how I learned about y'all. I was actually in the one for the cemetery.
That's right. Remember the cemetery?
Yes, I was there with my sister because we both love all this stuff too. So, if y'all guys don't know, they have several, not just here at Black Swan, and y'all have the Masonic Mansion.
Yeah.
Y'all have an abandoned hospital. Yeah. What other ones do y'all have?
So we're out in Yorktown, Texas, doing the Yorktown Memorial Hospital. We do that quarterly. We go out there. Monthly, we're out at Nat Washer Masonic Lodge in King William, and we give a tour of King William as well. We also find that there's a lot of interest in the red light district of San Antonio, so we do a red light district and murder and true crime kind of tour. That's a lot of fun for us. But then we're also at the Protestant Home for Disadvantaged Children. It's an old orphanage that's on the west side of San Antonio. We're there once a month, and then we go to a museum, actually. So we're at the Haunted Dollhouse Museum. It's probably the quirkiest, most interesting museum in San Antonio. It is filled with a collection of haunted dolls. And so it's a really interesting place. It's weird, it's fun, it's creepy. And it's not for everybody. That location isn't for everybody. But it's a lot of fun, and it's a lot of fun sharing that location, primarily because, there are so many toys that we grew up with that are in the museum, things that are relatable. So it's just a really cool place to take people in and share with them. And, when we're there, it's not just the dolls that we share. We also share a lot about the art of seance. Using tools, using professional communication tools, everything from ghost box to electronic devices with databanks of words. So it gives us an opportunity to take people into a small group and teach them about these things that people are curious about.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to make it clear, guys, when you book a tour with them, it all depends on the location. Some are just tours, but then there's some that are investigations.
Yes.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, and then some have just a walkthrough, and then some have the tools you were talking about.
Yeah. So we do like investigational tours, and so if anytime you see, on our website where it's a tour investigation, we're going to bring tools with us. Not only are we going to be tools with us, usually, time permits, we're going to do a demo with everybody. And that demo is what we kind of like to call an electronic seance, where we take a whole bunch of different electronic tools and we try to see if anything around us produces responses. And so it's just a spirit communication session. We share that with people as well when we do those investigational tours.
So y'all have not just had to have done research on the tools, but historical research too.
Yeah.
On each location. Because I remember at the cemetery, y'all had so much information, history about San Antonio that I had no idea. I had no idea San Antonio had a red light district.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I'm like, oh my God. So this is not just for maybe people with the paranormal, but if y'all are history buffs, this is fantastic. I learned so much.
Yeah.
How long did it take y'all to do the research? History research.
Over the years we've added different locations. Every tour, it probably, it takes us at least about a month to gather things, take time, decide how we're going to do it. We also go on a walk with the information, so we plan it out. We literally stand in the location, we go from place to place, we time it, we do all those kinds of things. So, at least a month usually.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, and who usually speaks, or y'all take turns?
We take turns.
We take turns, yeah.
We take turns, yeah. I do a lot of the tour writing, but we're both versatile in both of the tours, and all the tours, not both, but all the tours, yeah.
Okay, awesome. So, on top of tours, on top of investigations, and learning the history, and learning the tools of the trade, y'all have a paranormal festival here in San Antonio.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure, yeah. Well, we have this event every September, and it is hosted here at Victoria's Black Swan Inn. And it is typically as close as we can get to the Battle of Salado anniversary, which took place here on this property. So this year it's going to be September 21st, and it's really an opportunity to bring the entire community together. And it's one where we get not just locals, but regional people coming from, from Corpus, from Houston, from Dallas, people who are very much interested in the paranormal. And we bring speakers out, guest speakers who are really experts in their field. And the paranormal can encompass everything from, aliens to cryptid creatures to ghosts and haunts. So we try to make it as well-rounded as possible.
So there's something for everybody there.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Even for kids, people always ask, is it okay to bring kids? Yes, definitely. It's okay to bring kids. We always encourage, if you're curious, this is somewhere that you might want to check.
And I would think the more kids, the better, because I don't know if you've heard this, but I've heard that kids are like more open to the paranormal. Do you find that to be true? I mean, like in your tours?
The guests that come on that are kids, that are young, they're really interested. They're often very excited to be on location. It is a wonderful opportunity that often, we see, mother-daughters bonding, doing this stuff, but we also see, like, fathers and their sons doing it, and, they'll bring their equipment, they'll come out, and it's just, I think it's just a really exciting thing for people to kind of explore something unknown together like that, and seeing kids come out with their parents and really enjoy it, it really is fun.
Right, especially if they experience something
Sure.
together.
Yeah, and often they do, and they'll show us their evidence, and it's so
Really?
exciting for them, for us. It's exciting for everybody.
Do y'all have a lot of stories like that where?
Oh yeah.
And it happened here.
It's like I always say, every single tour, somebody will share. I felt this. I experienced that. Can you take a look at this picture for me? I wouldn't think that there's one tour that somebody hasn't, been curious or experienced something and wanted to share.
That's fantastic. And since y'all see this, y'all work here, y'all have tours here, every weekend?
So this property is a little different. So we're here, often as private tours. So we do private tours all the time. Through Sunday through Thursday, we do private tours here. And then we are here on the first Friday of the month. We do a cocktail tour. That's just like a tour of the house, and we serve cocktails, and it's a lot of fun. And then at first Saturday, just the next day after, we do a home tour. And this is, of course, without cocktails. It's very family friendly, and it goes throughout the home. And we do also another home tour on the third Saturday of the month as well. And then, from time to time, we offer these investigations. Investigational tours we always offer in September and October here. So there's a lot of fun stuff that we offer at this location in particular.
At this location in particular, have y'all had any experiences?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Like
Absolutely.
what?
Oh, so many. We're sitting right here. One of my favorite experiences is that door right there. We have just maybe a month or two ago, we had an overnight kind of situation, and we had folks, here in this room, and they were taking photos. They were kind of looking around, and there's a photo, and you can see people looking in different locations and whatnot here, and looking at different little things, and also people taking photos. But what's very interesting in the photo is right in that doorway, you see a man, and that man is wearing clothes that don't really seem like anyone else is wearing them. They're kind of like dark. I can't 100% say that it's period, but it's dark, and it looks as if maybe it's some kind of military garb. That's what it looks to me. And he's just looking in at everybody, and he has this expression of just staring. And he was not part of that tour. He was not there that night. No one saw this man there except in the photo. That's one of the most recent things that happened, and it's right here at that doorway, and we're sitting right by it, so I thought I'd share that.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Guys, if y'all see anything that's happening behind here, leave a comment below because I want to see that. I'm going to be checking this video a couple of times to see if anything's happening.
You never
You'll
know.
hear something
You
too.
never
You never
know.
know.
Have y'all ever gotten used to this stuff, or does it still
It's
scare
still
the
startling.
bejesus?
Yeah.
It's still startling when things have happened. Things like the doors opening and closing have happened. We have seen full body apparitions. I've seen a full body apparition of a man running through the property, and I thought somebody broke in. It was after hours. I kind of stupidly ran after them, and at a certain point, the property cuts off, and there's a fence line, and there was nobody there. So there are those kind of things that we have experienced, but our guests have also been in situations where they're walking around, doing an investigation, and they've heard somebody singing or somebody humming to themselves, and yet nobody's around, nobody's checked in. We can't find anybody. So these are things that I think they're just part of the property, and we're somewhat used to them, but they're still startling.
And I'm not gonna lie, guys. I just saw a shadow right there, and I don't know. I love
Never
that.
know.
I love
Interesting.
that. I just saw a shadow pass by. That I love this stuff. I really do. Me and my sister loved the cemetery tour. It was so fantastic. I urge everybody to at least go to one of them just to be curious. If you are a history buff, you learn so much about your own city, San Antonio, which is so rich in history. It's, over 300 years
Yes.
old, right?
Oh, yeah.
So there's so much.
And even before that, we had
Right,
history,
right.
So, yeah.
Our people, I'm part of the Copulticans.
Oh, okay, cool.
So we
Great.
helped the people from the missions. So
Yeah.
when I go to a mission, I feel very connected.
That's amazing. That's great. Thank you for sharing.
Thanks. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is Spotify. I didn't know y'all had a podcast.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And y'all are already on season 2.
We are.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Congrats. I want to get into all of that too.
Yeah.
Tell me, how did that come about?
Well, a friend during the pandemic kind of when things were lifting, invited me on a last-minute trip, and I thought, God, I want to do this. You know, we've been locked up in this pandemic all this time, but I didn't really feel justification of just going, you know, after being stuck at home for so long. And I thought, well, maybe if I do something with this trip. And so the idea of the Morbid Travel Guide kind of came out through that, and it morphed into, you know, this podcast, really, that we get to share different locations with people that are associated with death and destruction. And so this is dark tourism. You know, there was a dark tourist kind of show that was on Netflix a couple years back that kind of explored what dark tourism is. And basically, like I said, it's just the act of going to these places associated with death and destruction. So the idea of visiting the September 11th Memorial, that's an idea. The Alamo, of course, you know, several hundred people died there at one time. And so these places are the kind of things that we share. And so, you know, we find that we're also very interested in true crime, so we intersect true crime a lot with it. We intersect haunted locations with it as well. Everything from pirates to shipwrecks. We're trying to cover it on, you know, our Curious Travels Morbid Travel Guide podcast.
And both of you are speak on that?
Yeah.
Is there a specific time?
Yeah. So
every other Tuesday we release it, and so right now we have things scheduled from now until December, and then we take a little break in the spring and we come back in the summer.
Awesome. How many episodes is usually in?
13 per season.
13
Yeah,
per
13
season.
per season. We always include a Halloween episode and a Christmas episode because you know, we try to get both of those things in.
Wow. All of this is so fantastic, guys. I am so glad y'all helped me out with this. I've always wanted to come here and I never had the nerve, but I'm glad I'm here. Thank you. And this place is awesome. If y'all been here before, y'all know all of this. Is this all original furniture to the house? No.
Unfortunately, you know, the house itself was a very modest German farmhouse for a long time. It was added on later by the Holbrooks, and it has changed over the years. You know, there's been commercial operations, there's stuff here, but the floor that, you know, we're on right now, that's original from, you know, the 1800s, as well as the bottom portion of the fireplace is also original from the 1800s. But furniture and other things, they have changed owners over the years, and you know, that's the only original two things really in here are the floor and the fireplace.
And which location would y'all say is the most active? For people who want to do a tour or investigation, but don't want to just jump into a real nitty-gritty, which one is the most so we can avoid that one?
You know what? I would say I've experienced stuff in every single location. The most active, two. I'm going to get two because they're probably equal. It is probably going to be this location. A lot of people think it's just the house. It's not the house. It's the outside. The outside is super active, maybe even more so at times, depending on the time of day. You know, we've experienced it all around here. So Victoria's Black Swan Inn definitely is one of the most haunted locations we're at. I have experienced a lot over at the hospital, which is the Yorktown Memorial Hospital.
Oh, yeah.
That is just a really interesting location, especially if you're a Texas history buff, if you're like, you know, if you're into any thing that, you know, it's just a really cool place to visit. So we like taking photos, and it is definitely active. We've had everything from full body apparitions to unexplainable noises, footsteps, even little rocks been thrown at us when no one else is in the building. So I always tell people, you know, I recommend that. And, you know, I think that sometimes, you know, people really want to experience something and, you know, they're not sure they're going to do that. And, you know, we're taking a lot of folks into space at one time. And so we always tell people, if you're really interested in that authentic experience, you're ready to rip the Band-Aid off, you're not, you know, you don't need the big group, do a private with us, and we take you in, we give, you know, a tailored one-on-one spirit communication session. It's a great way to really experience a little bit of a trip.
That's fantastic. And social media, I know that y'all have on Instagram.
Yes.
And on TikTok?
TikTok and Facebook as well.
Okay, and you, where would somebody, if they want to get to know more about what y'all do, your tours versus investigations,
Sure.
where would be the best place to go find all that out?
Definitely our websites. CuriousTwins.com. That's going to be all of their tours and our events, all that kind of good stuff. And then if you want our blog, if you want all of our travel recommendations, and if you want to check out the podcast, everything there is available at morbidtravelguide.com.
morbidtravelguide.com.
Yep.
Okay, so what I'm going to do, guys, if anybody is interested, down in the description box, I'll try and have all the links there for you.
Perfect.
And I highly recommend, if you're a newbie to this, the cemetery would be the best one to start with.
Yes.
We love
Get
that.
your feet wet with that one.
Yeah.
And then try the big stuff later. And y'all offer this all year round,
We do.
correct?
Yeah,
Yes, we
this
do.
is not just Halloween. We're all year.
Yeah, and spooky season is coming up. Is that
Yes.
your biggest?
It is.
It
It
is,
is.
busiest time?
And it books up fast, you know. So
Okay.
yeah, we're already booking for Halloween season right now. So, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Appreciate
you for
it.
all of
Yeah.
this. All right, so I'll have to leave them because they are getting ready for a tour
Excellent.
later on in a couple of probably 15 minutes. So thank you so much for staying till the end of this video. This was one for the books for me. So what I want to let you know for the information here is I offer this interviews for small businesses absolutely free of charge. So if y'all can please just go ahead up there to give me a like and subscribe to support me in continuing to offer these things, these interviews and this spotlight to small businesses. And next week, y'all need to join me because I will have Bertha Longoria from Birdie and Clay. Her jewelry is works of art, guys. That's Chicana art is what I would call it. So please see me back next week for that. And as always, thank y'all. Have a great weekend. See y'all next week. Bye.